Good morning or good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this webinar. Today, it will be the third and last part of our series of webinars featuring what's new on CATIA Design for the R2019x release. For today's webinar on product experience, I'm very pleased to welcome Xavier Melconian, who is responsible of the product and portfolio definition for CATIA Design. As usual, the recording of this webinar will be published in the CATIA user community. Don't hesitate to ask questions there, and we will answer you. You can also write to katia.contact@3ds.com if you prefer an email response. I hand over to Xavier now and wish you a very interesting webinar.
Welcome, and thank you for joining this session about the 3D experience, what's new in 2019x for design and styling. This is the part 3 about the product experience. So, with our design and styling portfolio, we're addressing the community of users of creative design, surface modeler, and decision makers with physical and virtual prototype in multiple industries, from transportation design to product design industries. And what we want to address in terms of challenges is to help this community to develop their innovation and creativity, to reach a high level of surface quality and perceived quality, and to accelerate their design decision process with physical and virtual prototype. In addition to that, there is another challenge that we want to address, is to allow our design community to also design their product, but also their consumer experience. And this is what we want to provide with the 3D experience and our design portfolio. So the focus today will be about product experience with our rich portfolio. And for that, I want to focus today on product experience for the new generation of experiences, mainly about virtual reality and high-end visualization. So for that, I will give the hand to Martin, who's with me, in charge of this portfolio.
Thank you, Xavier.
So can you tell us quickly what is a product experience?
Gladly. Okay. So in product experience in our portfolio, we focus on mainly high-end visualization and VR experiences, which means, in a nutshell, we want to make our physical prototype look as realistic as possible, and then we want to experience it in stereo, in life-size, fully immersive and interactive, which is supposed to guide virtual decision-making.
Yeah. The goal is to take decision on the virtual mock-up
Absolutely.
in a very quick
all
way,
across design and engineering.
and
Yes.
in a very accurate way, right?
Correct.
All right. So
Yeah. Before we dive in, let's have a look at a customer video.
let's see that in action, right?
Yes, please.
Okay.
この無人芝刈り機ですけども、少し未来の
It started as a design study to imagine a lawnmower of the future. Usually, I start drawing a two-dimensional sketch, and then I import it into CATIA using Sketch Tracer. If the shape is organic, I use Imagine and Shape and make it a solid with part design. That is my usual workflow.
主にしています。3D を使う
Modelers, designers, testers, and many others are able to collaborate on a common design through the use of the 3D. I think that is a major benefit of the platform.
共通の、3D モデルを
By sharing a common 3D model, designers can express their diversity in design, whether it is a reflection of their distinctiveness experience or technical level.
技術のレベルとかもあったり
We
する
can look at the same design using different perspectives, with a new personality or perspective added to it, and we can see the impact of changes to the design working on the same platform. I think that adds to a broader scope of design.
かなと感じています。
As a digital modeler, it is my role to understand the design intent and what the designer wants to express through his sketch. I can check a model right away with a designer using virtual reality. Sometimes it's to check if everything will fit into the given space, or to check if the size is accurate. We may also ask engineers to join us to examine how easy it is to maintain the products, for example. The 3D Experience platform is very useful for us.
Impressive story, Martin.
Yes.
So can you tell us what's new in 19X then?
Of course. So in our 19X portfolio, the biggest news that we're very proud of are, of course, the release of our two new roles. One is called the Visual Experience Content Collection, and the second new role is the Product Experience Presenter, which is a design decision role for collaborating in teams.
Okay.
And then, of course, we see evolutions on the existing roles in our portfolio when we look at Visual Experience Designer with live rendering as the main app. Again, here we have focused on the three main pillars for improvements, which is user experience, which is new rendering features, rendering consistency across our render modes, and also increases in performance.
Excellent. So let's see that in action in details.
Let's go. As mentioned before, the biggest news in our CATIA Design product experience portfolio for the 2019X release is the full general availability of our new roles, the Product Experience Presenter and the Visual Experience Content Collection. With general availability, those two roles are now accessible like all other roles from Dassault Systems for the 3D Experience platform. That includes full availability on-premise and on cloud, and they can also be ordered for evaluation. So let's have a look at what are those two roles about. The Product Experience Presenter is dedicated to easy and intuitive visual design reviews. The role, with its main application called Product Perception Experience, is targeting three main user groups: creative designers, who want to explore different design ideas and combine multiple selections of materials and shape options and see those in context or in side-by-side comparison. Then we serve design teams as a community who want to discuss the different ideas as a group inside their own team, as well as together with other teams and stakeholders, then capture the decisions and in this way prepare management reviews. Finally, the third kind of user we target is a design manager. The manager wants to review and compare the proposals of the teams, but is not typically an expert user of one particular software, let alone of all the different tools which are used daily to create the inputs. He or she wants an accessible and intuitive way to understand a complex product or challenge quickly and then make informed and solid decisions. Besides the availability, we have evolved the user experience of the role to provide smoother workflows. For example, it is now more intuitive to define packages of different variants for review. There's also a new way of interacting with the variants during a presentation. Besides the established user experience of clicking on one of the thumbnails to switch a variant, a user can now also set up triggers for interaction. The triggers will then switch a certain set of variants on activation directly on the 3D geometry. Of course, the application works also in VR, where the triggers provide an even easier accessibility to the different variants in the experience. Let's have a look at the live demonstration of the capabilities.
Okay, so the goal is to show you Product Experience Presenter on the touch pad here, on the touch display. Usually you can use it on your screen or also on a power wall if you do a design review. So the goal of Manuel is to present and discuss, to take decision about a new design of a motorbike, starting from an existing one, which is a urban bike.
So we had a urban version of this bike. Last week we presented you a first sport version. You were not totally happy. We work on the design, and today I would like to show you some new design alternatives for this sport version of the bike.
Oh, we want to do a sport version. Okay,
yes,
so show me what you have.
So if you could switch to the viewpoint for the fender. First thing, we have redesigned the fender for performance one.
Okay, so the idea is to be able to present some design ideas in a very easy and visual way. So just by clicking on some of thumbnails that the designer can generate easily, you can present different variants of object, of design, of colors, of materials, positions, and this is what you're doing with the fender here, right?
Yes. Next, if you're happy with the fender, we can move to the rim because we have another kind of rim style alternative, which is this one. In addition, we have also some material variants that you may want to decide.
On the rim?
On the rim. So this is the Titan one, and we have a black one. Okay. Which one do you prefer?
The previous one. I want to see the highlight.
Okay.
So we are always on the 3D Experience platform. Huh? We are not in a separate software, so at any time I can go and have a better understanding of it, to look at it. So I can navigate inside my 3D with the standard navigation, or with the viewpoints that you can also store as a designer.
So we keep this one.
Yeah.
Next, we thought that it would be nice to have another kind of exhaust. If you can move to the next viewpoint.
This one?
Yes.
Okay.
Because as it is a sport model, we think that a double exhaust
Okay.
would look great.
I like it. Let's go for it. Can I see from the front how it looks like?
Sure.
Okay. Good.
If you can move to the next viewpoint, because even if it's material, this blue material looks nice for a sport version, we thought that it might be also nice to have another color for the body. I will also change it on the fender. So this orange is...
You change it on the fender? Here? Oh, okay.
Yes.
And you did put a car paint, right?
Yes, it's a car paint.
All right. Looks good.
So,
all right.
If you are happy with this one, maybe you would like to compare it to the previous, to the existing urban version?
You wanted to do a design change also or not? No, it's okay.
After that.
Okay. So let's compare.
So if you can open the model to compare, activate, yes. Hold on, it's coming, it's on its way.
So we are comparing here two motorbikes.
We will compare,
the urban one.
You see the previous urban version.
Okay.
You have the comparison viewpoint as well.
Here?
Yes, so if you can activate the first one, because what I did, I also created a turntable for both of them, and I will just activate the turntable right now.
Okay.
For you to have a look.
Yeah, to do some design comparison is very important. Designers, they like to express new ideas, but they always want to compare between two versions or from an existing product to another one. By the way, the turntable are always in real time, so I can navigate while I'm doing the turntable, right?
Yes, yes. And we can also, again, change of the design alternatives we just showed before, so if you like.
Can you change the exhaust, or?
So
no, you wanted to change the front light?
We can change the exhaust again and have a simple one. We can change again to have the same body color, and so on. But yes, what we have also Fabio, our designer, has been working on a new headlamp. Because you see, the headlamp is still the classic one, kind of retro look for the sport one. So Fabio has been working on a more sport kind of headlamp.
So what do you want to show? You want to stop the turntable, maybe?
So do you want to look at that?
Yeah, show me that.
Okay, so
at
we'll
any
see.
time you can do design change, because you're on the 3D Experience platform, and look at it inside the product experience presenter.
Yes, so what I will do is that I will search for this new design and create a new product variant for this design.
Okay.
The time to go back to the authoring mode of this presentation.
Or did you launch something or not? Not yet?
Take some time.
Okay.
It's coming.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, in fact, you have two ways to use this application. If you push the play button on the bottom, on the top left of your screen inside the compass, if you push the play button, you're in a presentation mode. It means that you cannot change the UI of the thumbnail. It is what you have defined, and you have a more nicely user interface. But if you do not switch it, you are in an authoring mode, which means that the designer can add new panels, he can load more data, and it's still the same user experience, but two ways of using it. In the play mode for a clean presentation, or authoring mode to add and remove thumbnails, elements, variants, lines of variants, and so on. So we did the first part of the demo in a play mode, because we were discussing and presenting. Now he wants to add new lines or new variants, so he did deactivate the play mode to go to authoring mode, and now it's loading new 3D elements, or searching for, in the 3D experience platform, searching new 3D data. And then he will play with, to put them in position, or to save them into a different variant thumbnail. So at the end, when we finished the presentation, we said, okay, let's see this motorbike, the sport version, with all these combinations of variants. So with this lights, headlight, with this color, with this exhaust, and we can save that as a package. So by combining all the variants together, we create one package.
So if we are happy with this version,
you just push the plus button, and now it will create a kind of a shot, a variant.
It's creating it, I think.
Of all the combined variants.
Now we've seen how to use the product perception experience on a touchscreen. Let's see how the app fits into our VR experience roadmap. Building on top of the VR experiences, which we started to offer with the 2017X release, including collaborative review functions and different interaction modes in VR, we can now, with the 2019X release of the 3D Experience platform, also use the product perception experience in VR with a head-mounted display like HTC Vive or Vive Pro. We see here one possible combination of the capabilities as shown before. A review of features on a big touchscreen, including a session where one of the designers puts on a headset and can experience the data fully immersed in life-size stereo 3D. Any switches and animations triggered on the touchscreen are visible in real time to the VR user. Like this, a decision maker can fully focus on investigating the subject matter while he delegates variant switching to his colleague. In combination with the new trigger functionality, since FD01 of the 2019X release, even the VR user has full control over the variant switching. Let's first check how to set up a trigger. In our example, I need to select an object in my 3D experience, and I define that object to become a trigger for a specific set of variants. As shown here, this can be, for instance, an open-close mechanism. Once I've set up the trigger, I can now, just by clicking directly on the object, activate the variant. The trigger works exactly the same in VR. I point at my object, click with the controller, and the variant is activated. Of course, this works for all variant types in the application. In the previous example, we saw how to activate a door animation. Here, I point at my product with a pick ray, and by clicking on different parts, I can change their color and finish. This allows me full control over the appearance of my virtual design, while I move around it fully intuitively to explore different options from every angle. Let's now look at the second new role in our product experience portfolio, which is called the Visual Experience Content Collection. This role is a selection of enabling content to accelerate your visualization workflows. Our goal is to make visualization easy and accessible for everyone, to allow to leverage the full capabilities of our integrated rendering technology. We aim to speed up the creative process and boost visual quality to the highest level. The easiest way to illustrate what the role offers is in pictures. We see here a typical CATIA CAD model. With the Visual Experience Content Collection, without any expert knowledge on how to create textures or realistic materials, you can go from this view to this result in as little as 1 hour preparation time. Every bit of content which makes the motorcycle look that realistic was taken out of the box of our content collection and applied to the scene within 1 hour. From the realistic materials and textures up to the lighting and background in high-res HDR. The Visual Experience Content Collection is available as an extension of our CATIA Design roles, which all feature CATIA Live Rendering. Those are in detail the concept building designer, creative designer, product industrial designer, transportation designer, visual experience designer, aero surface modeler, and Class A modeler. The contained items are designed to serve a multitude of industries such as automotive, aerospace, marine and offshore, high-tech, and so on. Every material and content item was chosen to maximize leverage for all those industries. The content collection comes with 4 different content types: visual materials, fully rigged and animated human mannequins which are based on 3D scans for anatomic accuracy, props to populate your scene and give context to your product, and multiple ambiances in HK resolution with HDR lighting to stage your product for rendering. Here we see a few examples of the resolution and detail of the materials provided with the content collection. All of those materials are procedural, which means they allow full user control over their appearance. You can adjust attributes like color, glossiness, grain, depth, or aging, just to name a few. For quick ideation in design and engineering, the procedural materials also contain examples like different patterns of car tires, wire, or screw thread. The ambiances cover a wide range of scenarios like retail, nature, construction, indoor, outdoor, day and night. Each one comes with high dynamic range lighting and in very high resolution. Our human mannequins now come in different outfits to fit multiple industries and scenarios. They can be dressed up as businessmen and women, flight crews, or construction workers. On top of the different work outfits, various pieces of clothing can be switched in color and appearance. Whenever a more abstract representation of human proportions is desired, the mannequins can also be loaded with plain materials in different versions. The props are intended to give context and relative sizes and proportions, as well as to help illustrate layouts and user scenarios. They can be used like any other 3D object inside the 3D experience applications. So much for the brand new rules. Let's now look at the updates in the existing ones. We start with the Visual Experience Designer and CATIA Live Rendering. With the 2019x release, we have migrated our rendering to a new material model which is called Enterprise PBR. For our global illumination rendering with Stellar and Iray, we now offer a denoiser. It's based on artificial intelligence and helps accelerate your render results drastically. For better user experience, we have improved the workflows for creating and applying materials, editing UVs, and lighting. The camera model was reworked, and other new graphic features have been added as well. Diving deeper into the first of the 3 big initiatives on CATIA Live Rendering, which is visual excellence. The previously mentioned Enterprise PBR is based on existing GGX BRDF models. The main goal during its development was to hit the sweet spot between expressiveness and performance, as well as offer visual consistency throughout the different render modes which we offer on the 3D Experience platform. It's been designed to act as the backbone of all our rendering and to consume all sorts of inputs, such as measured, scripted, or procedural materials. The Enterprise PBR material is a render-agnostic material model which can be integrated into any rendering engine, and it's also documented and published as an open source on GitHub. Together with a consistent material description, the complete render pipeline on the 3D Experience has been unified on the sRGB color space to consistently process inputs and outputs. Also new is the handling of colors in accordance with international paint and coating standards. No matter what information on a color you might have, be it the CMYK representation, sRGB, a hex value, or RAL number, your color inputs will always be displayed and rendered consistently and accurately. The second big initiative on CATIA Live Rendering targets performance. At the time of the release of the 3D Experience Platform 2019x, the latest hardware generation from NVIDIA, GV100, had been implemented. Development on RTX support has carried on in the meantime, and today we see an even bigger performance gain by the use of NVIDIA's latest RTX hardware. Independently of the GPU hardware use, we have also accelerated the real-time reactivity while working with the 3D experience by optimizing memory usage and using instancing for materials. The ray tracing with Stellar initializes much faster than before, and we have implemented a mixed rendering mode which falls back into real-time visualization whenever the user interacts with the scene, and continues to render in global illumination as soon as the scene is resting again. The artificial intelligence-based denoising technology allows much faster convergence of the final image. We see here a direct comparison of the exact same scene, on the left without any denoising and on the right with denoising activated. Both renderings have been stopped after 1 minute and 30 seconds. We see clearly that the image on the right has settled much further, and despite still showing minor artifacts in some areas, it is clearly visible that the image on the right allows for much better judgment on the light and material composition in the scene. Applied to your daily work, it's obvious how this can help produce much more output in the same amount of time. Last but not least, we have improved several workflows for our users in CATIA Live Rendering. With R2019x, we're introducing a new command for creating visual materials, as seen here in the panel. To illustrate it in a video, it's very simple to start the creation. The new panel suggests template materials sorted in categories. The user can enter a name, select one of the templates, and immediately can start applying it to the geometry. This makes the new user experience much more visual, user-friendly, and accessible. Once created, the materials can of course be changed and tweaked as usual. To find an existing material much more efficiently, the old material search browser has been replaced by a new material palette. The new palette offers sorting and filtering by multiple criteria such as material type, author, or even by keywords. To apply materials consistently to your model, CATIA Live Rendering now offers a new command for UV unwrapping. The command itself is reused from the Generative Shape Development application and becomes accessible in Live Rendering if you have one of the following roles installed: Transportation Designer, Product Industrial Designer, or Class A Modeler. To offer better control over texture application, Live Rendering now has new mapping manipulators. Those manipulators work consistently no matter whether the user works on a solid geometry or wants to edit a decal. When working with ambiances to add lighting and context to your product, the user experience has been unified between the different data types of ambiances. Tooltips and new panels provide further guidance on the new features. That concludes the highlights on the visualization solutions in our portfolio. Now let's have a closer look at what's new in our immersive VR solutions. As a quick recap, we have a roadmap for our portfolio to integrate our offerings and offer the most value of our combined functions and visual quality. We will now have a closer look at new functionalities in the immersive visual experience and the immersive collaboration experience. We start with immersive visual experience, which is our enabler role for single-user VR experiences on the 3D Experience platform. For context, let's look at the latest evolutions of the role on R2018x. With hotfix 4 on R2018x, we introduced new interaction methods like sectioning and measuring into the 3D Play app in VR. With hotfix 5, those were then migrated to become natively available inside the immersive visual experience, and with that, in all applications throughout the 3D experience that support VR. With the R2019x release, we extend the provided commands even further. The user now has the capability to play animations while immersed, switch transparency for individual selected parts, as well as cycle through the global render modes to display the product either with fully realistic appearance or without materials, or only as an outline and so on. The display of measurements done in VR has been changed to be more convenient to the user. Summing up, this means that with Immersive Visual Experience, you now natively have all those review functions available whenever you use VR inside any 3D experience application. Another evolution on 2019X is the support of a wider range of VR headsets. Besides HTC Vive and Vive Pro, the 3D experience now supports the Windows MR devices. Those devices are available from different vendors who share a common partner platform as a standard. One advantage of those devices is that they don't require any external tracking base station, but they have the tracking integrated into the headset. The installation for the Windows MR devices is a bit more complicated, as they require a specific Windows feature to be installed by the user. They do also require a certain Windows 10 installation and eventually a third-party Bluetooth device to communicate with your workstation. The access and licensing for the user on the 3D experience is exactly the same as for the HTC Vive products, which means the devices work with the standard Immersive Visual Experience role and use the same basic controls and applications. Some topics require further evolution over the next FDs. Currently, the Product Explore mode, Natural Sketch VR, and the Human Passive Incarnation are not supported by the Windows MR devices. Those functions will be addressed with our next VR UX initiative. Some convenience upgrades include better placement and usage of the HMD mirror on the user screen. The mirrored view now always opens centered on the display and can also be resized, which helps improve demonstration scenarios with bigger audiences. The natural ambiances have been enriched with a new one for large-scale products, which is a hangar environment. We are working on a new unified VR UX framework, which the first applications are making use of already. We see in 2019X the application Natural Sketch VR with all the controls around sketching and drawing in VR. The purpose of the framework is to offer consistent and easy-to-use building blocks to create future VR interactions for all applications on the 3D experience. For users who want to interact in collaborative VR reviews on the 3D experience, we offer the Immersive Collaboration Experience role. For recap, here we see the functions offered with the role since 2018X. The user can navigate in 3D in different modes. He or she sees a virtual representation of other users in the session with their name or user ID. There's a ghosting function whenever you get too close to another user, so his virtual representation doesn't block your own view. Users can apply a go-to command to jump to another user's point of view. Products can be placed on an animated turntable, which is synced for all the users in the session. And products can be grabbed or moved, which is also synced between all users. As a new feature in 2019X, the Immersive Collaboration Experience now offers a desktop mode. This mode allows VR users and non-VR users to participate in a joint session. All users are able to see each other and interact with each other. This enables a desktop user to stay in his or her common workspace with all controls they're used to. And they can, for example, model something live with other participants inside the collaborative session for review. This allows the integration of the different paradigms of creation and review which we have on the 3D experience and truly enables collaboration across local boundaries. This concludes the highlights on the product experience portfolio in CATIA Design for the 2019X release. We hope you found this session useful and welcome you to come back for the next episode of CATIA TV.